Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fatalist. As always, here come the yawns. Ryan Schlipp, check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_daddy. Again, thank you all so much for your support. Patreon.com/pack_daddy. You can support the show for as little as $1 a month. Just $1. Crazy. And if everybody listening was able to do that, I could actually feed my children. So, up to you. You want to be a fan or a murderer? I guess that's your call. So today is going to be a little bit of a hybrid day. Usually this would have been yesterday, but that's all right. We missed a day. Things happen. Today, we're going a little bit more in depth on the Cincinnati Bengals, followed by let's go through some of the Sunday games, any news and notes in between, whatever. But that's the plan for today. All right, so as of right now, the Green Bay Packers are going up against what is presumed to be one of, if not the worst teams in football. The Bengals are a mess. They're in disarray. They are 2-3, which is better than you would probably assume. But they rank 29th in points, 32nd in yards. They rank 30th in points defensively and 30th in yards defensively. So in those four categories, they are bottom three in all of them. Or I guess bottom four, right? 32, 31, 30, 29. Yeah, bottom four in all of them. They are the worst team in offensive turnovers, having turned the ball over 11 times. They're 30th in passing yards, 31st in interceptions, 29th in net yards per attempt, 32nd in rushing attempts, 32nd in rushing yards, 26th in rushing touchdowns with just 2, and 31st in rush yards per attempt at 3.1. They are 31st in drives ending in a score. They're 27th in starting field position. They are 32nd in average time per drive. They are 32nd in average plays per drive. They are 32nd in net yards per drive, and they are 30th in average points scored per drive. Defensively, 29th in first downs allowed, 29th in passing yards, 29th in passing touchdowns, 27th in net yards per attempt, 24th in rush yards, 24th in rush touchdowns, 16th in net yards per attempt given up at 4.3. They are 30th in starting field position allowed, 24th in time per drive, 28th in yards per drive, 27th in points per drive. They are not a very good football team. They did start the season 2-0. They beat the Cleveland Browns 17-16. They beat the Jaguars 31-27. They have gone 0-3 the last 3 weeks, falling 48-10 to the Minnesota Vikings, 28-3 to the Broncos, and 37-24 to the Detroit Lions. Looking at DVOA, they are the 32nd ranked team. We did cover this briefly with a negative 44% DVOA. Their offense ranks 31st. Their defense ranks 30th. The only offense that is currently ranked worst is Tennessee. Cincinnati has a negative 28.3 DVOA for their offense. Defensively, the only two teams worse are Dallas and Miami. 16.3% DVOA for Cincinnati. Now, a lot of this has to do with the fact that they lost Joe Burrow after week 2. So they were 2-0 with Joe Burrow. They've been 0-3 since losing him. The 48-10 loss to Minnesota is apparently the worst loss in franchise history. Essentially what this means is there is almost a nearly 100% chance that this is going to be the easiest game on our schedule. It's not guaranteed. They could come out swinging and play their best version of football and somebody else could play terrible. But if you had to put your money somewhere, this would be the game. Obviously, the Bengals' offensive identity was built completely around Joe Burrow and his elite processing ability and accuracy. Without him, it doesn't work. In those 3 losses, they threw 8 interceptions, which ultimately is what culminated into them deciding to go out and get Joe Flacco. Looking a little bit specifically at their offensive identity, Zach Taylor is their offensive coordinator. He does come from that same tree as Matt LaFleur. He was with Sean McVay. In fact, I think he was the offensive coordinator that took over after Matt LaFleur left. And that became kind of the joke when he got hired is, the anybody that cleans Sean McVay's toilet is going to be up next in line for the next head coaching gig. Cincinnati implements the McVay-Shanahan style offense in what they call in Cincinnati the spread and shred. This is the most shotgun-reliant offense in football, running 87 to 91% of their snaps from the gun, the highest rate in the NFL. They operate almost exclusively from 11 personnel at an 85% clip, that's 3 wide receivers, seeking to horizontally stretch the defense with quick game concepts, timing routes, and high percentage throws. Now, that should cause a little bit of hesitation for Packer fans because that's exactly what's been biting us. Quick game concepts, timing routes, and high percentage throws. Core philosophy emphasizes getting 5 receivers into patterns, creating space through formations, and leveraging Burrow's pre-snap diagnosis to find advantageous matchups. Zach Taylor is the play caller, not Dan Pitcher, who is the offensive coordinator. Likes to use horizontal stretches, slant flat combinations, flood concepts, and levels routes. The run game is theoretically outside zone, but 78% of their rushes actually come inside the tackles, the highest rate in the NFL. It's kind of similar to what happens in Green Bay, or at least happened. When Joe Burrow was healthy in 2024, this system ranked 7th in offensive efficiency, 6th in EPA per play, 1st in passing yards per game at 272.9. They scored 27.8 points per game, finished 6th overall. Burrow posted career highs with 4,918 yards, 43 touchdowns against just 9 interceptions, and a 71% completion rate, while earning Comeback Player of the Year. Without Burrow, well, all those stats we went through. 29th in scoring, 17 points per game, 228 yards per game. The run game is dead last at 57 yards per game, 2.6 yards per carry. Chase Brown in that time period has averaged 1.74 yards per carry with 0 explosive runs. Third down conversions have dropped to just 36.1%, 21 of 61 attempts. Offensive line struggles have cascaded. They've allowed 15 sacks and ranked 31st by Sharp Football Analysis. Play calling has become much more conservative and predictable, with Browning unable to push the ball down the field or make the timing throws that make this system work. As for the players, again, we kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, that you're not seeing the same pop from these elite players like we've seen in the past. Jamar Chase, who just signed his 4-year, $161 million extension after winning the 2024 Receiver Triple Crown, 127 catches, 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. Through 5 games in 2025, he has 26 receptions, 374 yards, 1 touchdown. Browning just cannot get him the ball. T. Higgins, the 6'4", 220-pound complimentary guy, also signed his own extension, has been equally stifled, 13 catches, 158 yards. Mike Gesicki signed a 3-year, $25.5 million deal. After he caught 65 balls in 2024, he has just 8 for 61 through 5 games. His seam routes and mismatch ability are wasted without Burrow's anticipation. And then there's the offensive line, which we already kind of went through those stats and those PFF grades, but it is a massive problem. Flipping over to the defensive side and the defensive scheme, they've got a very aggressive philosophy, but bottom-tier execution. Cincinnati fired their longtime defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo after 2024's 25th-ranked unit and hired Al Golden out of Notre Dame, where his 2024 defense ranked 2nd nationally in scoring and total defense. Golden brings a Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick Giants pedigree, emphasizing the BEST principles, that's B-E-S-T, ball disruption, effort, situational mastery, and tackling. That is so much better than the, what was the stupid Bears guys thing? Hits, and the final S was smart. So stupid. But they got BEST over there in Cincinnati. They got a 4-3 base morphing into a 4-2 nickel package, but Golden's philosophy differs a lot from Anarumo and their sort of bend-don't-break approach. So another team that's getting away from the bend-don't-break and toward more of an aggressive style of defense. He, again, is another aggressive man coverage guy, one of the most reliant coordinators in college football at Notre Dame. One of the most man-reliant coordinators in college football at Notre Dame. They ran a lot of press coverage with single high safety looks. He deploys pattern matching, matchy zone, quote unquote, that mixes zone principles and man techniques based on route combinations, along with 5- and 6-man zone pressures that keep safeties deep while bringing delayed blitzes. The front uses multiple looks with a Viper position, a hybrid defensive end stand-up rusher, typically 6'4", 250, who can rush from a 2-point stance or drop into coverage on zone blitzes. On 3rd and long, the Viper may slide inside over the guard. The run defense emphasizes 4-3 gap control with penetrating tackles and flowing linebackers, showing improvement early, limiting Cleveland to 49 rush yards in Week 1. However, through 5 games, execution has been catastrophic. Cincinnati ranks 30th in points allowed at 31.2 points per game, 27th in defense, 391.2 yards per game, and 27th in DVOA, as we just looked at. Pass defense giving up 270 passing yards per game, while ranking worst in the NFL in yards after the catch allowed, 878 yards, and worst in yards after the catch over expected, plus 209, which is fully 65 yards worse than the next worst team. The run defense grades 21st at 132.2 yards per game, despite the philosophical emphasis. Third down defense has collapsed at 46% conversion allowed, which is 30th in the NFL, and the red zone unit permits touchdowns, drives me nuts, at a 66.7% clip. Their pass rush, as we talked about, is almost entirely dependent on Trey Hendrickson, who led the NFL with 17.5 sacks in 2024 and earned first-team All-Pro honors. 30-year-old edge rusher has 4 sacks through 5 games in 2025. He has an elite 90.3 pass rush grade, but the depth behind him is non-existent. First-round picks Myles Murphy and Shamar Stewart have combined for 0 impact, leaving Cincinnati with pass rush win rate ranked 30th league-wide. Secondary features talent and trouble in equal measure. Cam Taylor-Britt, the starting right corner in a contract year, possesses excellent ball skills, 16 pass deflections in 2024, tied for 5th in the NFL with 3 interceptions, but has been benched twice, once in 2024 and again in Week 4 of 2025 against Denver after allowing repeated completions. He lacks consistent technique and can be beaten by double moves or when he loses confidence. Left corner DJ Turner II is a young developmental player with speed but limited experience. Slot corner Mike Hilton is a physical linebacker in a DB's body who remains critical to the 4-2 nickel scheme. At safety, Juno Stone took a pay cut entering 2025 after the underwhelming 2024, where his 4 interceptions mostly came on tip balls and coverage grades plummeted. Strong safety Jordan Battle provides ball skills and physicality but is still learning. Versatile safety Dax Hill is returning from a torn ACL and could break out if healthy. Middle linebacker Logan Wilson serves as defensive quarterback and team captain. Excellent in coverage with 4 career picks, though he needs to return to his 2020 through 2022 form after a knee injury limited his physicality in 2024. Remarkably, the Bengals are starting rookie linebacker Demetrius Knight Jr., second-round pick, every down. Rare trust for an unproven young player at the position. So, I mean, that's as plain and straightforward as I can possibly make it about where the Bengals are at, and should make it pretty clear what the expectation for the Green Bay Packers should be in this game. So, all right, why don't we take a break? We'll be right back. All right, let's quickly touch on the final injury report that we've got here for the Green Bay Packers. Jamar Chase, as I mentioned before, pretty weird situation with him popping up on the injury report with an illness. He was listed on the injury report before, but it was veteran rest, so I didn't think anything of it. Well, suddenly Friday he pops up on the injury report with an illness and is listed as questionable in the game. I would assume he's going to play, but I don't know. Guard Dylan Fairchild, who didn't practice on Wednesday and Thursday, did practice in limited fashion on Friday and is listed as questionable. Matt Lee, center, whatever reason popped up on Friday, did not participate, questionable. Their depth is a pretty serious issue, so that's something to keep an eye on, I suppose. Lucas Patrick, also questionable. He was full participant Thursday, Friday. I would think he's going to play. I don't know. Shamar Stewart, doubtful in this game. Otherwise, I believe everyone else should be okay to go, including Drew Sample, Charlie Jones, B.J. Hill, and Shaka Hayward. As for the Green Bay Packers, Anthony Belton listed as out. Christian Watson out. Devontae Wyatt out. This is all, I think, news that we knew coming into today anyways. Little unfortunate, but hopeful by next week Watson should be back. Again, if he comes back in 2 weeks, then the Packers probably should not have opened his window when they did, because that's cutting it way too close. In addition, Aaron Banks is questionable. He has practiced in limited fashion all week. Same for Nate Hobbs with his concussion, has been limited all week and is questionable. McManus is questionable, limited all week. Jacob Monk, questionable, limited all week. Zach Tom, questionable, limited all week. Rasheed Walker, questionable, didn't practice on Thursday, otherwise limited. Saw somebody had made the comment, somehow the Packers came out less healthy after the bye week. I don't know how that happened, but it does appear to be exactly true. Very, very, very frustrating. I mean, basically nobody came back healthy. We got nothing out of that bye week and actually lost some additional people somehow. Very annoying. The Green Bay Packers did sign a kicker, Lucas Havrisik. Apparently it's not a guarantee that means McManus can't go, but they want to sign him as insurance just in case. It's obviously not a very good sign that we're going to have McManus in the game, but it's not a guarantee per Rob Domofsky. He says belief is still that there is still a decent chance McManus can go tomorrow versus Cincy. So signing Havrisik may be just insurance in case McManus doesn't feel right or can't get through the game. The Packers had an open roster spot, so they didn't have to make room. All right, should we go through some games here? Let's go through some games. So what do we got here? We're just going to go in order as I have it listed here. We have another early game, Denver Broncos, New York Jets. Really do not care about either of these teams. The Broncos are 7-point favorites. Game, I believe, is being played in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium again, which is kind of weird. But I think I'm more or less just going to stay away from this game. Again, I think Justin Fields is going to be playing. Jets are the only undefeated team left. Broncos looking for their third straight win. And again, being overseas, all that, I'm not touching that. Next game we got is the Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, don't super care. It's AFC North, so it's a divisional game, and we do play that division. I guess I'd be rooting for the Browns just because we lost to the Browns and we still have the Steelers coming up, would be my only real rationale there. Steelers are 6-point favorites. I'm going to go ahead and dip my toe in the water on this one, though. I'm going to say that the final score here is going to be 28-18 Steelers. So that would be the over as well as Steelers against the spread. Cardinals, Colts. Colts 7.5-point favorites. What a weird world we live in. I'll obviously be rooting for the Colts because Cardinals are NFC. My score prediction for the Cardinals-Colts, 27-14, Indianapolis. Rams-Ravens, obviously going to be rooting for the Baltimore Ravens, although I don't feel good about it. The Rams are also 7-point favorites. I don't think I'm going to touch this one just because with Lamar being out, it feels a little bit weird in terms of making a prediction. But I'll make sort of a vague general prediction, and that is the Rams are going to beat the Baltimore Ravens, who are going to continue to slide in this very weird and unusual world that we live in where the Ravens just kind of suck. Seahawks-Jaguars is a much more interesting game. We're obviously rooting for the Jaguars in this game. As Packer fans, the Jaguars are 1-point favorites at home. It is quite a journey. Seattle going from much more cooler, temperate, western part of the country to the eastern coast, all the way down to the other corner. Should be blazing hot. Hopefully that has some kind of an impact. And I'll tell you what, that 1 point is pretty close. I've basically got it 23-22 Seattle. So I've got it reversed that I have Seattle by actually less than a point. It's 0.756 is the difference that I have between the two. So I probably just won't touch it. The total is 47.5. I've got it at 45. So I'll probably just leave that game alone entirely. But again, go Jacksonville. Cowboys-Panthers. Would make sense to root for Carolina in this game. Dallas only 3-point favorites, which is a little surprising to me. Carolina is at home. Looking at the math here, it's pretty iffy, I'll say that. Let's just say I have Carolina winning kind of big, and there's a reason for that. If nothing else, this is kind of a matter of interest. Dallas has played, and it's a pretty small sample size, that's why it's a little bit iffy. Dallas has played really poorly on the road. Carolina has played really well at home. Now, we're probably talking about a game or two for each, or 2 to 3 games, whatever, so it's not a big enough sample to really super trust it. But for example, Carolina has given up 28.5 points, scored 28.5 points at home and just 15 points average on the road. Carolina, while on the road, their defense has given up 32 points per game. At home, 12 points per game. Now, I don't expect any of that to kind of be sustained, but based on how poorly Dallas has played on the road and Carolina has played at home, I can tell you that the math has Carolina winning by 11. Now, again, I don't massively trust that, but it is absolutely worth noting that that's been a thing, and if it continues to be a thing, Carolina not only covers, but they win, and they not only win, but they could potentially win pretty big. Again, I don't know if I trusted enough to touch that. If Dallas was a strong favorite, like 7 to 10 points, I probably would. I just have a hard time betting on Carolina to do anything good. All right, let's take a break here. We'll come back and rip through the rest of the games, and we'll call it for the day. We'll be right back. All right, Dolphins-Chargers. Chargers are just 4-point favorites, which I also find a little bit surprising. Miami has been god-awful, so whatever. Maybe it has to do with the amount of injuries and whatnot that the Chargers are facing. I don't know. I actually have this exactly the same. I have the Chargers at 4.1-point favorites. The only difference is I have the score 27-23, which is a little bit higher than as expected. It's the total's at 43.5. I've got it at closer to 50. So I don't have a lot of bets going on. I might as well drop that one down. Saints and Patriots, just don't care. Patriots 3.5-point favorites. Got a little bit of steam with their recent win. In this game, again, we have a little bit of a slanted off, not as dramatically, but home team, away team. Both teams perform better at home. So this is a pretty heavy slant toward the Saints. Even still, and again, this is almost exact, the Patriots are 3.5-point favorites. I have the Patriots by 3.4 points. So again, almost exact. In fact, the total they have at 46, I have at 46.5. So the official score prediction, 25-22, we'll call it, to round the numbers nicely. And I won't be touching that game. I will say, though, that, again, that is even with the heavy Saints slanting. So if you say that you don't maybe buy that because the sample size or whatever, that's going to push it even heavier toward the Patriots. So it would be either don't touch it or Patriots would be probably the play. Raiders-Titans, another useless game. AFC garbage dumpster teams. Raiders 4.5-point favorites. We are, however, finally in the afternoon slot. Score prediction for this game. Got a very low-scoring game with the home team Raiders winning by 6.5 points. So that's 2 points more than the spread would suggest. I've got the score at 20-14. So I wouldn't be massively confident in the spread because it's relatively close. However, again, with the total, they've got it at 41.5. I got it at 34, so I am going to bet the under in this game. Next up, we got a much more interesting game. We got two, I hate to call them NFC powerhouses, but based on their record, we need somebody to lose here. Tampa Bay are at home, 3-point favorites against the San Francisco 49ers. Got this game being very, very close with the 49ers with a slight edge. I have them winning by 0.9 points. We'll call it 25-24, though. It would be a 4-point swing against the spread. Maybe I'll bet on that. I don't know. You got the total at 48.6. They have it at 47, so I won't touch that. I'll just bet the 49ers. I don't want them to win, but whatever. Finally brings us to an NFC North opponent. game, and that is Bengals-Packers. And as you can probably imagine, this one's going to be very heavily slanted for the home and away. The Packers at home are scoring 27 points a game and giving up 15.5. The Cincinnati Bengals are scoring 10 points a game on the road and giving up 30.7 points per game on the road. So I'm just going to lean all the way into this. I have the Packers. Let's see, the spread is at 14.5. I have the Packers winning by 22.3469 points with a final score of 32-10. So I'm going to do something I never do that I hate doing. First of all, I don't like betting on the Packers because it's a double loss, even though I bet like no money. Also, when a team is a 14-point favorite, I just don't do it. But I'm going to bet the Packers. Hilariously, I also still have it under because the defense does such a good job of holding them to 10 points. So I have the total at 41.7. They have it at 44.5. But I'm just going to bet the Packers. Why not? Or I could just bet the... No, that wouldn't be any fun. What is the return on that? If you bet $100 on the Packers, you get $7 back. There's no chance. But there you have it. Next game. This is the Sunday night game. Kansas City Chiefs and Detroit Lions. I don't have to tell you who we're rooting for in that one. Fortunately, Kansas City is at home. They have been better at home, scoring 27 points per game at home compared to 23.7 on the road. Third game in a row, by the way, that somebody has scored 27 points at home, because I haven't had to change that in a while. Likewise, for Detroit, at home they're scoring 43 points per game, on the road 29. Detroit at home is allowing 15.5 points. They're allowing 27 on the road. Kansas City, not drastic, but still better, allowing just 20 points compared to 22 at home versus away. And oh my goodness, that is a close one. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs winning 27-26. Chiefs with a 0.9 point advantage. Obviously, if this was played in Detroit, it would be probably a Detroit blowout. But Chiefs being at home is a massive advantage. Vegas has them as 2-point favorites. I think that's pretty close, so I'm just not going to touch that. They have the total at 53. I also have the total exactly 53. So... go Chiefs, not touching it. All right, after that, well, maybe we'll just leave it. We got Monday games, but we can talk about those tomorrow because considering the Bears are playing, I'll probably want to spend some time talking about that. So I will leave it at that. You all have a great rest of your day. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.